Unfortunately, these are the same press-on nails that, what's his name? Lil Pump. They're cute. On me. We are tapping into nostalgia today, honey. After seeing Mila Tequila and her whole biz, I said, what do I remember way too much about? What was I hyperfixated on in my adolescence? There was a group that dominated my mind. Me being in 8th grade and 9th grade, exploring Tumblr, the internet on my own, I was obsessed with One Direction. I don't know if anyone has gone through the history of One Direction and their drama. However, I felt it was my duty.
Okay, I'm interrupting really quick to say that I just checked YouTube to just kind of take a break from editing, and Mila Tequila posted a One Direction video 2 days ago. And that's on Clairvoyance, honestly. But hers is about after, I'm pretty sure. I didn't even get the chance to watch it. But crazy, because I also mentioned after. But anyway, just wanted to interrupt to say that. I'm acknowledging this. And I have been editing this video for way too long. Like 2 weeks now, because I keep neglecting it. Anyway, enjoy it.
I really want to get like into Larry as its own separate video and Mr. X, but for now, this is a period piece for my 1D besties. If you were wishing that you were British, which, by the way, Directioners were really out here standing British people as if they were it. Not saying that there aren't really cool, really great British people out there. There were a lot of us who referred to the United States as Narnia because we were born in the wrong country. Those of us that wanted jobs at Sugarscape, wanted jobs at Nando's, wanted jobs at Milkshake City. This is for us. Like, I really envision myself stepping out in a fit, circle skirt, fresh tops, graphic tank top, white Converse, my penny board, I go to Nando's, Niall's there, we fall in love. I did run a 1D Instagram with my besties. Yes, I did. And it popped off. Directioners loved just like lying and being weird, claiming to have liked One Direction since the X Factor, which I can understand if these fans were British. Most of the time that I heard this, though, it was from people who lived in the United States. Honey, no, you didn't. Why were you watching British X Factor? They would also lie about not having a favorite. I'm just saying, every single time that I said that I didn't have a favorite or that I said that a certain member could sing, I must clarify, Directioners were not the same as Directionators, and they were not the same as Carrots. All different subgenres of people who consumed 1D media. I would say Directionators were so fake, we hated them. And Carrots, I guess the BTS equivalent is like no jams. This hierarchy of fan, we needed to take a step outside of our bodies and look at what we were doing. Directioners also loved gatekeeping One Direction as if they weren't the biggest boy group at the time. Our little secret, Hunny. Anyway, let's get into this. I separated these things into chronological order, kind of like by album / era. So to set the scene, everyone has dip-dyed Kool-Aid hair. Everyone's running a quality blog on Tumblr. We all want like a pastel penny board. We're like doing online shopping on Wanello. Rewinding back to 2010, Niall Horan tweets this tweet. July 23rd, 2010, Harry Styles, Niall Horan, Louis Tomlinson, Zayn Malik, and Liam Payne are put into a boy group together on The X Factor, the UK version, season 7. This is the first picture of them ever taken. Zayn auditions with Let Me Love You. Niall was So Sick. Harry with Isn't She Lovely, and Liam with Cry Me a River. And then Louis did this little rendition of Hey There Delilah that I had never seen anyone go for before, and it got him through. Simon Cowell is notorious for putting these 5 boys together. He was the one who decided to put them in a group. I don't know why. I just don't trust that man. I don't. Season 7 of The X Factor airs in August of 2010. The boys are contestants along with Rebecca Ferguson, who Zayn briefly dated, Cher Lloyd, Matt Cardle, Bellamy, and several others. Rebecca and Zayn only dated briefly before saying that they grew apart. I don't think that it was anything serious. Also, just a side note, I'll mention some of the boys' girlfriends, but only like things that stuck out to me or that I really paid attention to. Because I talk about Danielle for Liam, but not Sophie. And that was a whole other thing though. And then Eleanor briefly, but again, the Larry video. When we see One Direction get formed, we get the iconic Judges' Houses performance, Torn by Natalie and Bruglia. Bruglia? Period. Either way, she made a banger, and that song became the anthem for Directioners everywhere. We loved that song.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all have seen this torn performance in a while, but I watched it just now. Louis is not singing. Imagine that. Imagine being stung by a sea urchin and then them being like, yeah, you need to turn off your mic.
We also get Zayn Malik trying to dance. We get a plethora of covers, we get a plethora of quotes. We also get the X Factor diaries. Now, this is where the carrots come in, and the reason why they're called that. Louis has an infamous quote in one of the X Factor diaries where he says that he likes girls who eat carrots, and that shit took off. People were sending him carrots, people were dressing up as carrots. It was kind of scary, and like, okay, cut it out. You know, I would just hate to be like someone who has a large following and like literally anything that I say just casually in passing becomes like, I don't know, just stop repeating me, you know? We also get the What's Happening Boy song. Very iconic. Very iconic. To this day, banger. Love that song. The X Factor's running. We get a few X Factor diaries. See the boys cover a bunch of songs until December of 2010 when they come in third place. Now, it was a little devastating, but honestly, what would have happened if they won? Because who won that season? You didn't know exactly. It's Matt Cardle. And that's where we also see Harry whisper something in his ear that he got in trouble for later because he didn't realize the camera was directly on him and that everyone could read his lips. Right after the winner is announced, Zayn says that it's not the last of One Direction, and he was right. They definitely took off after the X Factor. I think that it was just a step for them to get to where they needed to be, to get recognition and to get people talking about them, because they definitely blew up bigger than Rebecca or Matt. We're getting into our second era, which is the post X Factor / Up All Night era. So February through April, One Direction go on the X Factor tour with a few of the other contestants that they were on the show with. Honestly, not that important. I didn't hear much about it, so I don't think that it was, too crazy. Then April of 2011, so about the end of the tour, Liam and Danielle Peaser are confirmed dating. They met on the X Factor. Danielle was a backup dancer. She had worked alongside like FKA Twigs to be a Jessie J backup dancer. The boys' first single, What Makes You Beautiful, is released in the UK, New Zealand, and Australia on September 11th of 2011, which is kind of confusing because the music video is posted in August of 2011. Also in the video, Stalker Sarah, if y'all remember her, she can be seen in the background. If you don't know who Stalker Sarah is, she was just someone who was seen with a bunch of celebrities because she said that like her dad took her to all of these events with all of these people as long as she kept up her grades. Imagine. What Makes You Beautiful had a lot of misogyny vibes, very much fetishizing insecure people and telling women that they can't be confident or else they're not beautiful. A lot of people had a lot of beefs with this song. In September of 2011, One Direction announces their Up All Night tour, which is going to be their first tour that they are headlining, and this is before they even have an album out. So they announced this tour and they don't even have their own music out besides What Makes You Beautiful. Then September / October of 2011 time, Louis Tomlinson and Eleanor Calder are confirmed dating. Apparently they met through a friend of Harry's, which, again, Larry video. November of 2011, Up All Night is released in Ireland and the UK. Then, November 23rd, 2011, ITV special, A Year in the Making, is released. That's when we get the iconic Harry crying scene. Highly recommend. It's like a year after they've been formed. Like, just the success that they've had in the UK is crazy. Also in November of 2011, Big Time Rush announces their Better With You tour, where they're going to be supported by One Direction. From December 2011 to January of 2012, One Direction go on their Up All Night tour in Europe. This is when I believe that their signature outfits came about. Harry in his blazer, Louis in his striped shirt and red pants, Niall's polos, Zayn's varsity jacket, and Liam's plaid shirt. During this tour, they also have a whole Twitter question segment. People like submit questions on Twitter with their seat number, and One Direction will be like, hey, you asked this question, here's the answer. And they would do that for so long, as well as a portion where they would just cover songs by other artists because they did not have enough music to have a full set list. Some of the covers that we see them perform are I'm Yours by Jason Mraz, Valerie by Amy Winehouse, Stereo Hearts by Gym Class Heroes and Adam Levine, I think, and Use Somebody, which is by Kings of Leon. On the first day of this tour, One Direction attempts to bring girls on stage while they perform I Want. However, after doing this, they were never able to do it again because of how much hate these girls got. Niall also has described this as like the worst show that they've ever played. I guess things just kept going wrong. Also during this month, Harry Styles, who is 17 years old at the time, is seen leaving 32-year-old Caroline Flack's apartment in the early morning. The two had met on the X Factor. Doesn't matter. If you don't know who she is, she was the host on Love Island and she passed away. I just don't know how else. I don't know. She's a pedophile. The two never confirmed that they were actually in a relationship during this time. Then in January of 2012, Harry confirmed that the relationship ended mutually, but still they never said what they were before. Then I guess in May of 2015, Caroline Flack said, and I quote, "I'm not going to ever apologize for it because there was nothing at the time that was serious or bad and nobody was getting hurt." Anyway, January 20th, 2012, Ed Sheeran's fan video for Drunk comes out and Harry is seen in it for like 4 seconds. This is what personally made me get on the Ed Sheeran train. 1D stans, Directioners, loved Ed Sheeran. We loved anyone who One Direction associated themselves with. We loved Little Mix. Who else do we like? I think Niall said he had a crush on Demi Lovato, so we loved Demi Lovato. We said, you shoot, we shoot. If Zayn were to swing, I was about to swing. I would have done anything for that man. Then One Direction go on tour with Big Time Rush from February to March of 2012. This is where we see people getting very upset because a lot of people are leaving the venues after One Direction's set. April 2012, we get some huge, crazy stuff in store for One Direction. Not only are they on the Up All Night tour in Australia and New Zealand, but their episode of iCarly, which is called I Go One Direction, premieres, and their episode as a musical guest on SNL premieres the same night. Also during this month, 1D fanfiction, Larry Stylinson centered, called Room 317 by Lelsey, is posted to LiveJournal. This was a very iconic fanfiction for Larry supporters. Apparently it was really good. I read a few pages, but then realized that I couldn't pay attention. I didn't know what was going on, and I was a little confused. I had never seen like shipping before. Someone also sent this fanfiction to a friend of Liam's named Mazzy Maz. Don't know if y'all remember him. He would always like start his YouTube videos with Maz. What is Maz? Something. Guy with the white chin. He was also friends with Andy Samuels, who was like Liam's best friend. But anyway, if you don't know where Maz is now, he's Scar-Lord. Random. Just thought I needed to say that. Like, I just need as many people to know that as possible. I loved Maz, and I had no idea who this Scar-Lord character was, and then I looked at him for a good sec, and I was like, oh wait, that's the guy with the white chin. Hello? What's happening here? Now he's an anime villain. Then, May of 2012, we see Zayn and Perry Edwards on scooters together, giving each other a little smooch. And when I tell you the girls were upset, Directioners couldn't handle this information. Something about, like, at first, everyone is like really upset that one of the members is dating someone, and then they become obsessed with their girlfriend. This same month, the Up All Night tour in North America starts. Up All Night tour DVD is also released during this time, which crazy because the tour wasn't even over. The North American Up All Night tour ends in July of 2012, and we also see a girl run on stage who was very iconic. She did it also during I Want. I don't know what it is about this song that makes it activates a chip in their brain, but it had everybody acting a fool. Next, Take Me Home era. So from May to October of 2012, these guys are recording their second album, Take Me Home. In August of 2012, we get Cinnamon Roll Zayn, where he bleaches a piece of his hair. Then on September 20th, 2012, the Live While We're Young music video comes out, and again, people lose it. A few of the boys have wet t-shirts. Everyone's dancing. They're talking about getting some. We're like, oh my god, what is this album about to be? It's about to be about sex? They're maturing. Quite honestly, this whole era doesn't feel real. It just feels like a fever dream. And I did, during this era, post a Q&A video with one of the people that I was running this One Direction account with. In it, I discuss my fanfiction that I had wrote where I made Niall die in a car crash, and while everyone is in the waiting room trying to figure out like he's okay, Zayn's girlfriend Perry finds out that he cheated on her with his best friend, and then they like start arguing in the waiting room. Yeah, I was just all about the drama and honestly the material. Stan culture in general at this point is absolutely wild. There's a ton of like shipping going on, so people will like post pictures of themselves and be like, which of the boys do you ship me with? And I noticed a trend here that every single time that a person of color asked to be shipped with someone, they were either shipped with Liam or Zayn. I remember when I mentioned that Liam and Danielle started dating, and Danielle was a person of color. She is one of the only people of color that we see around One Direction, other than Zayn, who is just blatantly a person of color. Any POC is getting shipped with someone who we know for sure has dated a person of color or is a person of color. Tons and tons and tons of imagines are being produced on the daily, setting you up, putting you in the scene, allowing you to feel the scenario. What would happen? What would it look like if Zayn just won a boxing match? What would it look like if Harry was jealous because he saw you across the room at a party talking to your ex? What would it look like? I want to be there. I want to know. I want to feel that. I want to know what it would feel like if I was dying from a car accident and what Harry would look like, crying, sobbing his eyes out in the hospital because he just lost me as his partner. Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter, Keek, Kick, taken over by Directioners. And now, I don't know if the girlies remember Keek. Keek was where you could just post short-ass videos of, like, yourself. I don't know. I used it to post covers of me singing. Sammy from Jersey Shore will be on there with sponsored videos, just all kinds of stuff. It was very short-lived. It died very fast. This was before Vine was even a thing. Also, the artistic creativity, left brain bitches with the lyric art, I was blown away. I was like, how do they do this? What markers are you using? Because my shit doesn't look like that. It's also not clear to me when this happened, and I don't even know if this is like 1000% true. I just remember this happening, and when I look it up, I can see pictures of it happening, but a few Directioners hacked into an airport security like system to watch Harry Styles sit on a bench. Back to our timeline. November of 2012, Take Me Home, their second album, is released. At this time, we also see a lot of boy bands also trying to make it on the scene. I don't know if y'all remember that band Union J, I think their name was, or like the Vamps. We just see a lot of boy groups. We're also seeing a lot of British YouTubers, especially like Zoella, Marcus Butler, Alfie Diaz, YouTubers like Joey Graceffa, Casper Lee, Bethany Mota. They are poppin'. And many of them are also profiting off of being Directioners, or like at least trying to pretend that they are. We also see O2L. They were also doing things that like appealed to Directioners. One of the most iconic things to ever happen during this era was One Direction fighting with Piers Morgan on Twitter, and One Direction fighting with The Wanted on Twitter. I knew that if I ever had to get into it with anyone, based off of the way Zayn was tweeting, that he would have my back. Because the way he called what's-his-name Chlamydia Boy. So anyway, Ed Sheeran writes 2 songs for Take Me Home. Little Things and Over Again. Little Things, again, fetishizing insecure people. Tired, old, disgusting. Also, Over Again, the lyrics just... Also during this time, Little Miss Taylor Swift is seen wearing a paper airplane necklace. Now, if you don't know, Harry was known for wearing a paper airplane necklace during this time. So during this tour, One Direction headlines Madison Square Garden, which is huge. However, leading up to this show, a little poet, a little riddle rhymer by the name of Mr. X has been posting essentially death threats to Harry Styles, insinuating that Harry's going to get shot during the show, so people are losing their minds. It's getting media coverage, but no one ever says anything about it, and nothing ever happened. People were making up rumors that, like, people had been arrested at the show, but I don't think that any of that was ever true. And yeah, I never heard of Mr. X after that. The new year into 2013, Harry Styles and Taylor Swift are seen sharing a little smooch, and this sends Directioners off the rails because Harry was ours and we didn't like her. Halsey, Little Miss Halsey, posted her rendition of Trouble, I Knew You Were Trouble by Taylor Swift. She made a Haler song, was talking about Taylor snagging Harry and being the trollop. She didn't say that. 5 days after that New Year's Eve kiss, they split. Taylor is over. Harry leaves her on a boat by herself. Also during this time, the boys are recording their third album, Midnight Memories. Are you seeing a trend here? They're constantly working. They're not getting any breaks, and it's terrifying. While they're recording Midnight Memories, February 2013, the Take Me Home tour begins. They are joined by 5 Seconds of Summer. Their cover of Teenage Dirtbag is slaying. Also, the meet and greets that occurred during this tour had people acting up. The poses, so innovative. The creativity that came out of these meet and greets, so many people were sneaking into them. People were really acting feral and delusional. And I was one of them. Also during this time, their One Way or Another cover is released. We don't even have to talk about the One Way or Another cover because the video, very white savior-esque, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. I was not a fan and I only watched the video once. Mind you, they were on tour for this album for 9 months. April of 2013, Miss Anna Todd starts putting chapters of After on Wattpad. Now, if you don't know what After is, it is a Harry Styles fanfiction where he is a bad person, just full of toxicity, immaturity, unable to process and deal with and express his emotions. However, this story, this fanfiction, had everyone shaking in their boots to the point where this fanfiction got a book deal and eventually was made into a movie. And did I watch it? Yes, I did. And I loved it. It wasn't necessarily true to the fanfiction, which is probably a good thing. I didn't want Harry to have the bed sheets in his trunk, but I also loved seeing the lesbians. Now, After was crazy because I didn't think that a fanfiction could get more popular than Dark. And if y'all remember Dark, very similar energy, Harry being toxic and a boxer and dangerous. He wasn't a boxer in After, but just the bad boy image, blah. I think Beau and Tessa, both being the protagonists or the love interests in both fanfictions, were both not your average girl. They were just not like most girls. They tied their hair up in messy buns and stared into Harry's green orbs, and that's all you need to know. Both of these fanfictions, however, a lot of teenage kids' introduction to erotica, just very strange. Why were we reading this? Writing celebrities into sexual situations that they did not consent to. Yes, I read it though. I am not playing like I am innocent here. I will know how to have sex based off of this. Oh, don't worry. I am well versed in what sex is. I read After. Then in July of 2013, we get the Best Song Ever music video. August of 2013, Perry Edwards and Zayn Malik are confirmed engaged. Not only that, but August 30th, which is my birthday, This Is Us premieres in theaters. This Is Us is their second movie. This is more behind the scenes, along with some concert footage. So a lot of people got on board with One Direction at this point. Now we're getting into era number 4, which is Midnight Memories. In September of 2013, the boys finished recording for Midnight Memories. The Story of My Life music video is released in October of 2013. This also made everyone be like, wow, they matured even more since Take Me Home. November of 2013, the Take Me Home tour ends. We also get 1D Day on November 23rd of 2013. It was a 7-hour live stream. The boys were just doing random things performing songs and trying to break world records. We all sat and watched this for 7 hours. Nothing crazy happened. There was a fashion show. Would I watch it now? No. Then on November 25th, so 2 days later, Midnight Memories is released. Midnight Memories features songs like Best Song Ever, You and I, Story of My Life. Directioners were so obsessed with One Direction being mature. I think it was because we were trying to convince our parents and other people that we were this is good music, listen to it. But that's the other thing. Pop music is good music. Who are we trying to convince? They were making bangers and that's it. We could have lived with that by ourselves. On December 7th of 2013, the boys appear on SNL again as musical guests. People are paying more attention to them because after Midnight Memories came out and they're performing songs from it, they're like, whoa, I like this acoustic sound, almost folk pop sound that One Direction is going for, so people are paying more attention to them, and Directioners are eating it up because we're yes, pay attention to our boys, but also don't get too comfortable because of the gatekeeping. Remember? They're no longer our little secret, but maybe we're a little proud of them. In January of 2014, we get the Midnight Memories music video. April of 2014, we get the You and I music video. Now this is when One Direction got themselves involved in a little plagiarism scandal. They had also had to fight off another group from the United States whose name was also One Direction and tried to sue them, which didn't really work out for them. I think One Direction just had to put UK in parentheses after their name when putting their songs on streaming platforms, whatever. But this situation, You and I, an Australian band called Club Feet, had a music video for a song called Everything He Wanted. The music video looks very, very similar to the way the You and I video was executed. So this Australian band, Club Feet, had made several posts on social media about like what was going on, and I guess they reached out to One Direction, but still never heard from them. I never heard anything after this. I don't know, Ben Winston might be a criminal. Ben Winston directed a lot of One Direction's videos during this time as well. Best Song Ever, Story of My Life, You and I. This man was a thief, and they got away with it. During April of 2014, the Where We Are tour also begins. Then in May of 2014, that infamous video of Louis and Zayn smoking weed in the back of a car is leaked, and this is what Daily Mail had to say about it. For some reason, everyone was acting like this was an enormous deal that these boys were smoking weed.
I just wanted to drop in here really quick and mention the fact that in the next clip, I talk about how I started losing interest in One Direction at this point. So I had never seen the full video of Louis and Zayn smoking. I just knew that it was happening, but I did watch it for this video, and while I was looking for it, I discovered that there was some discourse over whether or not Louis was saying the N-word in this video. The sad part is that's not why. Oh, Jace is right there. That's not why people were so upset. They were still just really upset over the fact that there were drugs involved in this boy band, and the fact that I didn't know that the N-word was even a part of the discussion until very, very recently. It's very disappointing, but I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that and that I didn't glaze over that. So
I'll be honest, at this point, I was starting to lose interest in One Direction. I wasn't as into them. I wanted to go for something even more mature. 5 Seconds of Summer caught my eye during the Take Me Home tour, which they were also touring with One Direction during the Where We Are tour. I won't disclose who my favorite was in 5 Seconds of Summer because, yes, it is embarrassing. I'm mature, and I listen to actual bands. I was also into the 1975, so I had projected my future and seen myself smoking cigarettes, getting into very toxic relationships with people like Maddie Healy. But we've grown from that. October of 2014, the Where We Are tour ends, and we also get the concert DVD from that era. Then the next month, November of 2014, 4 is released. It features songs like No Control, 18, Still My Girl, Fool's Gold, and this leads me to the final era. February 7th, 2015, the Honda Civic Tour begins, also known as On the Road Again, and just a month later, Zayn Malik leaves One Direction. So March 25th, 2015, Zayn announces that he is leaving One Direction. There's a social media post that's uploaded to One Direction's social media, letting fans know that this is happening, but that the band will continue as a 4-piece without Zayn. He apologizes to fans, explaining that he just wants to be a normal 22-year-old. Zayn also states that he has 4 friends for life, which shortly after he gets into it with Louis on Twitter, so I just know that this was false. Zayn later goes on to say that he didn't write this statement. He never wanted to be in a band. The racism that he experienced, the fact that his voice was constantly being suppressed, and that the other members would like advocate for him to do like R&B ad-libs, but that's all the freedom that he was ever really given. There was no time where he was ever able to like voice his opinion or like creatively express himself through One Direction. This was when people also realized that the boys of One Direction weren't all best friends and that they were really all together just for a job, and this broke a lot of people's hearts. Liam backed him up on this by saying, like, yeah, sometimes you just have a job to do and there are other people involved. Then May 14, 2015, One Direction as a 4-piece appears on James Corden. July 29th, 2015, Zayn signs with RCA Records, who Simon Cowell told him to sign to, I guess. Like, Simon Cowell made the decision that Zayn was going to sign to RCA. Then July 31st, 2015, Drag Me Down is released as the first single by One Direction since Zayn left. I personally think that Zayn would have bodied this song. However, they didn't care about what I thought. Still a banger, obviously, but I just think that Zayn would have made it something new. During this time, the 4-piece's hiatus is also announced, and it's supposed to last 18 months. In August of 2015, Zayn and Perry split. Their engagement is off. Apparently, he had cheated on her like 4 times throughout their relationship, and then broke off the engagement via text, which he denies to Fader magazine and says that he respects Perry too much. But how could we know? I heard through the grapevine that Zayn has also been cheating on Miss Gigi, but who really knows? October 31st, 2015 is the last day of the Honda Civic / On the Road Again tour, and Louis and Harry hug, which is a big deal because after all of this time of everyone analyzing their relationship a little too much, they weren't able to like really be platonically affectionate with each other anymore because people were just taking it and running with it. Again, Larry video, I just think that it deserves its own separate little thing. Then in November of 2015, Zayn and Gigi Hadid start dating, which I don't know. Maybe it's not my place to discuss, but 3 months after an engagement just seems a little early. Then November 13th, 2015, Made in the AM is released, and it is the first album and only album that One Direction releases as a 4-piece. Had me sobbing over the song History because it definitely was about Zayn and also just like their time with Directioners. Then December 31st, 2015, One Direction performed for the last time as a group on Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. January of 2016, Us Weekly announces that the hiatus is a permanent split for the group from a source that is unnamed. January 29th of 2016, Zayn releases Pillow Talk. I was shaking in my boots. This was what I was waiting for. I needed to see Zayn at his full potential, and I was getting it. Personally, I was happy. I did not want to follow this cracker quartet. I was into Zayn and what he was doing in his solo career. If this 4-piece One Direction was going on a hiatus or if they were splitting permanently, it was no longer my business. I followed my bae wherever he went. It's pretty quiet after this, obviously because of the hiatus, and Zayn is making music and like making statements about his time in One Direction, and everyone just kind of moves on. It's not until March 2017 when Louis, who is seen with Eleanor Calder at the airport, they're approached by like strangers. I don't know if they're paparazzi or what, but there is a feud. They are being harassed by these people. It gets a little physical. Louis spends an hour in jail. Not much else about it. By May of 2017, every single member of One Direction has a solo project, and that's the last that we really see of anything. So the hiatus never ended. That's the end of One Direction. It was very apparent that everything was going to end anyway. Zayn was the glue. He was the best vocalist in that group, but racism got the best of a lot of people and prevented Zayn from reaching his full potential in that group. Regardless of closure and whatever, at this point I had already moved on, so I didn't really care. I found out that Zayn left and I was like, there's no point anymore, because like I said, Directioners love lying and pretending like they love every member of One Direction. And yes, I did do that, but when Zayn left, the curtain came down. There was no reason for me to stay here. I'm going with him. And yes, I will say that with confidence. He is the most talented member of One Direction. Harry, close second. Also, just love Niall. What a guy. The others, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this nostalgic trip that we took together, because there were so many things in here that I had completely forgotten about. Specifically stuff that happened like during the X Factor and like during that first like up all night, tour. Hopefully I covered things that made people remember what it was like. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching this. See you next time.